In the rolling hills of Dunchideock, South Devon, where the Haldon Hills cast long shadows over ancient woodlands and the air hums with the quiet of forgotten centuries, stands Haldon House, a grand Georgian manor of faded elegance, its ivy-clad walls hiding secrets as old as its cornerstone. In the autumn of 1983, the estate was put on the market, its owners eager to shed its crumbling splendor. The estate agents, with a mix of daring and desperation, offered the house with ghosts, a marketing ploy that drew the curious but sealed its fate. For Haldon House was indeed haunted, its halls echoing with loud taps on doors, faceless figures flitting past glass panels, and sepulchral voices calling terrified inhabitants by their Christian names, a spectral presence too much for any buyer to bear. Haldon House had stood since 1735, built by Sir Robert Polk, a colonial governor whose wealth came from India's spice and silk. Its Palladian facade gleamed in its youth, its rooms filled with the laughter of gentry and the clink of crystal at lavish balls. But by the 20th century, the Polk line had dwindled, and the house passed through distant heirs, each less inclined to maintain its grandeur. In 1983, the last owner, a reclusive widow named Margaret Polk, died without issue, leaving the manor to trustees who swiftly opted to sell. The estate agents, a small firm in Exeter called Harrowell & Sons, catalogued its assets: 12 bedrooms, a ballroom with cracked gilt, a library of mouldering books, and grounds tangled with brambles. But they couldn't ignore the rumors, whispers of a haunting that had driven Margaret to her final years in solitude, her sleep broken by ghostly intrusions she refused to name. The first agent to visit, Peter Harrowell, scoffed at the tales, chalking them up to creaky pipes and Dartmoor's penchant for Gothic fancy. Yet on his initial tour in September 1983, as he surveyed the ballroom with its dust-sheeted chandelier, a loud tap echoed on the oak door behind him, a sharp, deliberate knock, though no one stood in the corridor beyond. Peter froze, his clipboard trembling, as the tap repeated thrice more, each one louder than the last, until silence fell like a shroud. He brushed it off as settling timber, but unease gnawed at him as he locked up, the sound lingering in his ears like a warning. The next day, while photographing the library, he glimpsed a faceless figure, a blur of shadow in a long coat, flit past the glass panel of the door, vanishing as he turned to look squarely. His Polaroids captured nothing but empty shelves, yet his skin prickled with the sense of being watched. The agents, undeterred by Peter's rattled nerves, leaned into the house's mystique, advertising it with ghosts in the Exeter Express and Echo, hoping to lure buyers enchanted by the paranormal. Open houses began in October, drawing a trickle of prospective clients, mostly eccentrics or developers eyeing the land for profit. But the ghosts of Haldon House were not content to remain a gimmick. During one showing, a retired couple from Bristol, Clara and Thomas Drayton, toured the upper bedrooms when a sepulchral voice echoed through the hall. Clara, her Christian name spoken with a hollow weight that sent her clutching her husband's arm. Thomas, braver than most, searched for the source, finding only cold air where the voice had lingered, its tone both mournful and menacing. The Draytons left pale-faced, their interest snuffed out like a candle in a draught. Another buyer, a wealthy Londoner named Samuel Polwell, looking for a countryside retreat, arrived in November, drawn by the house's history and discounted price. He laughed off the agent's warnings, calling them capitalist theatrics, and insisted on staying overnight to test his mettle. At midnight, as he read by candlelight in the master suite, loud taps erupted on the door, a staccato rhythm that seemed to mock his bravado. He flung it open, expecting a prankster, but saw only a faceless figure dart past the glass-paneled door at the corridor's end, its form shimmering like heat over stone before vanishing into the shadows. Moments later, a voice called his name, Samuel, its timbre, deep and sepulchral, rising from the stairwell below. His nerve broke. He fled down the grand staircase, his suitcase abandoned, and drove back to London before dawn, swearing never to return. "It knew me," he later told Peter Harrowell over a crackling phone line, his voice trembling. "That house doesn't want to be sold." The estate agents tried again, lowering the price and downplaying the haunting. But word of the ghosts spread through South Devon like wildfire. A young family from Exeter, the Taverner clan, visited in December, hoping to renovate the manor into a boutique hotel. As they explored the drawing room, their daughter, Eliza, froze, pointing to the glass door where a faceless figure flitted past, its outline blurred but distinctly human. Before her parents could react, a loud tap rattled the doorframe, followed by a voice calling Eliza in a tone so chilling it silenced their chatter. The family fled, their dreams of hospitality crushed by the spectral welcome. And Peter Harrowell began to dread each visit, his nights haunted by the memory of those faceless forms and sepulchral calls. By spring 1984, Haldon House remained unsold, its with ghosts tag a warning rather than a lure. The estate agents hired a local historian, Clara Polwell, to unearth the source of the haunting, hoping knowledge might quell the spirits. Clara traced the house's history to a tragedy in 1789. A young footman named William Taverner, dismissed for theft by Sir Robert Pock's heir, had hung himself in the attic, cursing the family with his dying breath. His death, unshriven and unmarked, seemed to anchor the ghosts, a restless collective of figures and voices, perhaps William's spirit amplified by the house's long decline. Clara suggested a blessing by the vicar of Dunchideock's parish church, but the ceremony, performed in June 1984, only stirred the spirits further, with taps echoing louder and voices calling the vicar's name, Edward, as he fled. Haldon House lingered on the market for years, its price dwindling until a developer bought it in 1989, not to live in, but to raise 4 flats, a plan stymied by heritage laws. The ghosts persisted, their taps and calls a nocturnal symphony for the occasional trespasser. In 1995, a thrill-seeker named Tom Patterson, armed with a camcorder, recorded a faceless figure passing a glass door at midnight, though the tape later showed only static. The manor's legacy as a haunted relic endures, its doors locked tight, its windows dark. On quiet nights in Dunchideock, locals swear they hear faint taps on unseen doors or catch a sepulchral voice on the wind, a reminder that Haldon House, with its ghosts, waits still, unwelcoming and unyielding, its spectral tenants guarding their domain with whispers and shadows. Many thanks for treading this tale's dark path. If its chill gripped you, like, subscribe, and comment below.